right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today here at Education USA. We are so privileged to have in our presence today Sarah Gonzales from Pepperdine University. She's actually the assistant director of the Straus Institute for Dispute Resolution at Pepperdine University School of Law, which has been ranked by the U.S. News and World Report as the #1 dispute resolution program for the past 11 years. And she's right here in Wellington with us to answer all of our questions about law programs in America. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us today.
My pleasure to be here.
Great. Well, our first question for you is, what law degree options are available for students?
So there are a few law degrees available in the United States. For one, there's over 200 law schools in the U.S. Many of them will offer a JD, which is the first degree of law. This is typically a 3-year law program where they are getting an overview of U.S. law. So for domestic students in the U.S. that want to get their first degree of law, that's what they're going for. So similar to an LLB in an international location. The second degree of law is the LLM. LLMs can happen to be in general areas where they are taking U.S. education courses or specialized areas, but these tend to be 1-year law programs. The third degree of law is the SJD, or the Doctorate of Law. And so with the doctorate program, students are going through 3 to 5 years of coursework and research where they're paired up with a faculty member and they're going through and doing a sequence of courses. So starting with the JD, that's the first degree of law. The LLM is the second, which is Masters of Law. SJD, which is the third level, is the Doctorate of Law.
Got it. So how do you decide where you are on the spectrum and how to choose which degree option?
When it comes to choosing a law degree, it realistically varies on what the applicant is looking at doing. I always recommend applicants to look and figure out what their career trajectory is. Are they looking at working with an international law firm? Are they looking at working in the United States with a legal career? Are they looking at working within a corporation, providing legal expertise for a business environment? Starting with the career and working backwards from there is going to be the best way to figure out which is the degree that's going to help them get there. So for those students that are looking at actually working in the United States, for an example, having the 3-year first degree of law is going to make the candidates a little bit more competitive in the job market. Although students with an international law degree can go through and do a 1-year LLM program and can qualify for the U.S. bar exam, it's going to be a little bit more challenging in the job market when you have candidates that are applying for a job that have the 3-year JD program and candidates that have a 1-year U.S. law program and their international law degree. So again, it depends on where they're looking at practicing and what they're looking at doing. If the applicant is interested in working in an international law firm, then having a specialized degree, like an LLM program, will be much more beneficial than going through a 3-year first degree of law.
Okay, got it. So once a student has determined which direction they're going to be pursuing, how do they find a school that's going to be a good fit for them?
Well, there's a couple of different options. So many applications within the JD or LLM program will use a resource that's called the Law School Admissions Council. The Law School Admissions Council actually has a directory where students can actually put in their parameters. I'm looking for a school near this city because maybe they have an aunt that lives in that region or that specializes in this particular program. So using some of those online directories can be certainly helpful. I would always recommend that applicants look at levels of accreditation. So the highest level of accreditation is American Bar Association or ABA level of accreditation. Mm-hmm. So for one, start there and pick a school that's ABA accredited. And then look at some other parameters when it comes to finding an area, whether it's location, looking at, okay, do you want to go through 4 seasons or do you want sunny weather? I'm in Malibu, California, so we have sunny weather, which isn't for everybody. So location may be very helpful. Looking at reputation. Is that particular program well known for a particular area of law? Or more importantly, do they have faculty that are experienced and networked within a certain region? Mm-hmm. A lot of students will go automatically and look at ranking. So in the U.S., we have U.S. News and World Report. And I would always hesitate when applicants use that as their pure decision factor when it comes to finding it, because you can have a well-ranked program, but it's looking at what are the resources does that school provide.
Right.
So do they have faculty that are very well known within the area? So for a student to be able to leverage on the network of the faculty is very important. Do they provide other conferences, training programs, sessions where they can also network within the field? Do they have a large alumni base that can help them when it comes to meeting people that work within the field when it comes to those externship options? So looking at other reputational factors outside of U.S. news rankings can certainly be helpful. Looking at access to clinical and externship programs. Does that particular program offer students the option to be able to go out there and gain real experience within the field? Not all LLM programs do. Does that program provide the flexibility to take courses required for a bar exam? So again, focusing on what you want to do with the degree, and then funneling it down into where you're looking at practicing, what you're looking at doing, whether or not you need a specialization. All those different components help the student figure out what are the different components needed when I'm looking for the degree that will help you decide on where you're looking at getting it. And realistically talk to people, talk to professionals in the field, talk to people that are working in an area you want to work in, and ask for their recommendations, because they will know if they specialize in intellectual property, oh, well, these are the programs that are well known for that.
Okay, that's great advice. Thank you for that. When it comes to starting the application process, how early should students begin to research these schools, and how long does it take to actually go through the whole process?
Sure. Well, going through the application process can be a little daunting because there's a lot of different requirements when it comes to the different components within the application itself, the personal statement, letters of recommendation.
Whew.
Depending on the school, some schools require that students get their transcripts evaluated if they're an international applicant coming in. So that takes 2 to 3 weeks just for the evaluation process. That's outside of the actual application. So I, again, recommend that applicants start backwards. Majority of U.S. programs will actually have fall starts, which will be either mid-August, September range. Other LLM programs will actually allow students to start in the spring. I'm seeing a few more of those come up more often.
Okay.
At Pepperdine, we're a little unique. We have fall starts, which is mid-August. We have spring start, which is January. We also go year-round. So we have summer starts that start at the end of May.
Wow.
So I would have the applicant think of when they're looking at starting and work backwards from there. So the components, depending on what country they're from and their first native language. Here in New Zealand, it's not that big of an issue because English is fairly often used. But for other students that maybe are studying here where their first language is not English, they may be required to take a TOEFL or IELTS exam. That takes study time.
Right.
Well, the good news is for LLM applications, you don't need the LSAT exam. So you don't need to just put in the added prep time of having to study for an LSAT. So when it comes to preparation, it's going to depend on the program. You're going to have some programs that will have deadlines in January, February, hard deadlines. Others are going to be March and April. Some are going to be May. So I would do the research, figure out what schools you're interested in, what their deadlines are. I'm also a negotiation program. So I will tell you, if you've missed the deadline, it doesn't hurt to email the school, contact the school, and ask them if they will accept a late application. Some programs are completely strict and they say no. They don't have the ability to reopen their committee. Others are totally flexible. I can tell you a good portion of the law programs now are moving into rolling admissions, where they will review applications as they come in.
That is very interesting to know. Thanks for that insight.